Hey.
Morning.
Morning. Where have you been? The park?
I went for a walk. You live in this shed.
Yeah.
That's actually your house, isn't it?
This is my house.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I know, it's good.
Jesus was born in a shed. It's a ready-made nativity scene.
It really is.
So, but it's also the perfect place I've discovered for showing contemporary film and video made by the artists of the day.
Well, thank you. That says a lot about my work, I'm sure. But it's very kind.
No, it's all right. Well, thanks for finally got you into the exhibition.
Yes, because you didn't put me in your first exhibition, did you? I'm very upset about this. I don't know why you didn't do that. Why was that? Did I not make the cut for whatever reason?
Jeremy, it was an open call. You would have been very
well. To me, it wasn't.
I
had no idea you were doing this.
Well, I'm going to do it again next year, and
Okay.
hopefully it will be. Well, I don't know. I was even thinking maybe I could get a bit of budget behind it.
I was going to ask, what is the budget?
Zero.
Fee, structure, things like that.
There's nothing.
Research.
There's nothing. But
right.
that was so. Obviously, I know you're very expensive, so that's possibly one of the reasons.
Yes.
But no, I think, and one of these reasons I did want to talk to you is if you think it's got legs, then it is the sort of thing that I could apply for Arts Council funding for. And
So this is like a business chat. It's not even a sort of we should do this offline, I think.
It's no, it's like a sort of it's an exploration of how like grassroots projects might get off the ground.
Okay, all right. I'll give it some thought.
It could be, but actually the other thing I wanted to ask you about really was just I don't know. It's just that it's been a shit year, and is there anything that we can take out?
What's been going on? What's been going on?
Well, I couldn't get any money for my chicken show.
Well, there we go. Well,
no.
Yes, it has. Obviously, it has. But yes, this is meant to be positive, isn't it?
Yeah. And what I did in the summer, putting on this show, was trying to be a bit positive, but really for me, not in a kind of way of making the actual world better, but it made my world better for a little bit. Did you do anything similar?
No, not really. I mean, I did some prints and stuff, which was sold or put up in the streets, which was distracting in a good way, in a sense. But I didn't put on exhibitions as such. I mean, I know you. It must, it was tough for everyone, but you do have to admit you live in a very nice part of the world, and you had a nice big garden and animals. It's all looked quite idyllic, actually.
Yeah,
it's quite like Eden or something. All these animals running around and all that. So it could have been worse for you. You could have been
absolutely
in a little flat in London or whatever.
Yeah, and I think that we moved here genuinely thinking that when Brexit happened, we'd want to be somewhere that we could grow our own food. Like we were really thinking, like
kind
we
of
want to be. Yeah, because living in Ramsgate before, which was like Brexit central.
Yes.
It felt like you were relying a lot on structures that wouldn't necessarily be there afterwards, and so we were sort of quite proved right with the pandemic, I guess. Like we suddenly had the reason for being out here became a bit clearer. Do
you grow your own food then? Have you grown your food? Right.
Yeah, Rebecca sort of established a really good vegetable garden, and I mean, no way near. Like it's so much more difficult. That's why one of the reasons why it's not idyllic, because it's actually really hard to grow your own food and make it last and like not feel like especially when it's like you can buy a bag of carrots for 35p. So why are you bothering
to grow it?
Going the trouble to grow it yourself? But it's more than that. And then
obviously.
So yeah, there's lots of things that are difficult, and like this situation with having yeah, we're lucky. We've got a garret. We've got this space, but this was like all full of stuff, and then suddenly the chickens had to move in. So all this stuff happens that gets in the way of like living that perfect life.
So why do wildfowl and chickens have to be under cover at the moment? Is there a strain of flu going around or something?
Yeah, so bird flu. They found bird flu, and like it causes. They have to cut. Like if you're a proper farmer raising meat, or you know, like an egg farm or whatever, if you find a case of avian flu, you have to cull your entire flock. I think it's really bad.
But
so,
you keep birds. Does that mean you get directives? I'm sorry, this is really boring.
Yeah. No.
Do you get directives from the government? Are you on some sort of system or something? They know where you are and you get birds and that. Right.
Yeah, DEFRA. So you get alerts from DEFRA, and so it's the way it's spread is through wild birds. So the reason they have to be undercover is to keep wild birds out of the way, and it would be like through their droppings or just through like sharing the same water and stuff like that.
And they're probably ultimately afraid that this might go to humans as well. I suppose that's sort of really why they're.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I'm not sure, but that was what happened with like BSE and stuff like that. Any of these diseases that could affect the food chain.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's serious. You know, it's got to take it seriously. But again, like not that you think about when you.
Yeah, but you want this to be positive chat, don't you? So we should maybe be a bit more positive. Yeah. What were you had some positive questions for me, didn't you?
Well, I got a positive. I thought the posters that you released on Thursday were really positive, in a slightly depressing way. I mean, everything's slightly depressing, isn't it?
It was World Human Rights Day, and I was given all these. I was asked to make a poster to publicise it, and so I did these posters that said it is World Human Rights Day on the 10th of December, and then it just said all these different places around the world where human rights are being abused, basically. I mean, it's sort of positive, negative in a way, but the posters went up everywhere. They're still up. They're all around Britain, and a very simple poster. I did it with Fraser Mugridge, and they're very graphic. I think the people were expecting something really colourful, but we actually did something that's very bland, almost in terms of graphic design, very newspapery, basicry. But they're everywhere. And there's a huge one that's going up this week. I know it's a week late in a way, but it's a massive one going up on Broadway Market. There's a site that's ginormous, and that's the one for China as well, for Jingzhou province. So, but it was areas. It was like one was a prison, one was a detention centre near Gatwick Airport, one was the Amazon, the Mediterranean. So they're like some were very specific places, buildings, and others were sort of huge regions around the world. But the research of that was really depressing.
Right.
Just read about where the worst. I mean, you could have had 1,000 places. We chose 12 or 13, I
think. I like them because I like those simple posters that you do with Fraser, where they're very direct, but they're not direct in a they're like directing your imagination somewhere else.
Maybe they're conjuring up an image. I mean, what's interesting is that when you do these posters now, could you just keep your chickens quiet, or a cock, or whatever that is? What is that?
Yeah.
They'll see the film in a minute, tell them. I think the thing is, the thing about doing those things is that you end up becoming part of this whole street art movement, which is quite interesting, because you get tagged as street art or go on these street art sites, and your work is there, and it's almost the antithesis of what street art is, which is very colourful and sort of rococo, whatever you want to call it. It's just like really decorative with, different shapes and all that sort of Banksy stuff. But actually what we were doing was very simple and sort of quite visually quite direct, but sort of, you could say, bland or simple. So I quite like the idea of being called a street artist, though. That really is something I'm quite interested in. So for that reason alone.
I'm really sorry about him.
Does he keep you up?
Well, no, not at the moment. It's like he's in here, but there's obviously something going on. It's that one. It's the flamboyant
Does he,
one there.
does he have sex with all the chickens all the time, or just certain times a year?
Certain times, I think.
Right.
It's got, yeah, it's not, no, it's pretty relaxed in here. They rub along all pretty well.
As it were. Right. Oh, that's good. I went to a cockfight, actually. We could talk about that. That's not a very nice thing, though. I went to a cockfight.
Wow.
Yeah, in I mean, the venue of it though is even more shocking. It was in the Galapagos Islands, because there's a big town in the Galapagos Islands, really big, where a lot of people live, a lot of fishermen and people, because there's a huge tourist trade in the Galapagos Islands. We think they're unspoiled and no one lives on them, but actually tens of thousands of people live on the Galapagos Islands, and it's a kind of big backpacker area as well. People go on the cheap.
Yeah.
You can go there and do it really cheap. There's a beach there. It's quite weird. Anyway, they're illegal. Well, they weren't illegal actually, but they've been made illegal since. There's a cockfighting scene on the Galapagos Islands, and I filmed one. It's pretty brutal, as you can imagine.
Yeah, is it to the death?
Yeah. And actually, I think in one of the films, you see one of the guys who owns one of these cocks that's dying. He actually sort of muzzles it and kills it because it's suffering so much. But there's a lot of money on the Galapagos Islands because there's a lot of illegal fishing. So a lot of people there are very rich because they fish illegally in the waters. There's ways of doing it, and there are kind of vessels that patrol the waters, but it's so huge, the area, that they do get away with it. So you see who the rich people are, because there's a lot of modest buildings that people live in, but some people have these huge houses they sort of built, jerry built almost, with extensions and so on. And they're the people probably involved in the illegal fishing trade. And
are they then betting on the cockfights?
Yeah, I suppose there's a lot of money swilling about, and it looked exactly as you thought it would do. As a pit, and everyone's sitting in a circle around. I filmed for hours and no one cared. There's a guy with loads of gold jewelry with fists full of money doing all the bets and stuff. It's kind of classic. It was like something out of, it's cliche to say it's something out of a film.
Yeah.
But I was on the island. I was on this town. It's almost a city for about a week. And I went to the cockfights, and then I went to all these churches. There's a big sort of evangelical Christian thing going on there at the same time. So there's all sorts of.
What was that? Was that just you were traveling, or just you wanted to?
No, it was the best sort of trip I ever did in a way. I was for 10 days. I was on a boat going around the islands, on like a sailboat. It was one of these arts and ecology things, and they would do something about the Galapagos. So my piece of work in the end was a film of cockfight. So it wasn't about the beauty of nature. It's actually about it's like a film of man just. It's almost a kind of blasphemy to do it in the Galapagos, to have this sort of animal cruelty, but it was about human animals really, rather than the ones that are being killed.
Yeah, I had to kill one of our chickens a few months ago.
How did you dispatch it?
So the first thing was it was ill. It had they get this thing they can do where. Basically, like
should we be having this conversation? I thought we were going to have something.
Okay,
we can finish it, but you did kill it. Did you wring its neck?
No, actually, you know what? We're not going to talk about it.
Okay, let's not talk about it. Let's talk
horrible.
about positive things this year.
I had a good story. Right. Good thing. My stories are a bit more specific to me.
Yeah.
So I had a good thing happen during lockdown, where I took my pet cat's Mittens to the vet.
Yeah.
And on the way to the vet, ran into Neil Tennant.
How?
Of Pet Shop Boys. Who is like my hero.
I know he is, yes.
So it became part of this saga of like meeting him every so often and trying to.
Does he live
slowly
near?
persuade him. Well, that's the thing. You wouldn't have thought so, but he doesn't live too far away, but he goes to my local town to go to the Waitrose. And that's where he was coming out of shopping. And I was on the way to the vets.
So did you bother him?
Yeah. But so every time I see him now, I have to do this thing where have to. I have to talk to him just because I have to, but I also have to persuade him that I'm like a normal person and not just a fan.
Yeah, I bet you're not very convincing at that.
Well, no, because I was driving and he was walking, so I basically screeched to a halt and did a U-turn and then pulled up in front of him.
Stop it.
Yeah, he was very polite though.
I bet he was very nervous. You had met him before, hadn't you? With me,
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Did
you mention me? Did you mention?
Yeah,
me?
I said, I'm Jeremy's friend, and I saw him do something. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet he did.
No,
No,
it was all right. It was fine, but obviously, if I'd have been walking along, it would have been easier. But the whole,
not for him.
The whole stop in the car and turning it around. But it was great. I was really happy to. That was a nice bit of synchronicity.
Well, yeah, you have to be careful, don't you, when you meet people like that you're not too desperate. But I'm sure you handled it very well. I'm sure.
I handled it as well as I could in the circumstances.
Knowing your obsession with the Pet Shop Boys. How many times have you seen them play live?
Oh, like a dozen maybe.
Right. I've only seen them once, and it was that gig at the Royal Opera House last year.
Right.
Or year before. I don't even know when it was now.
Yeah,
I think it was last year.
3 or 4 years ago. It's going fast.
Anyway, it was amazing. It was one of the best concerts I've ever been to in my life.
Well, first time I saw them was at the Savoy Theatre.
Oh, fantastic!
And that was, I mean, at the time, it was great. Sam Taylor Wood did the films for them, and there was like this sort of.
I know. I'm not going to say anything.
It was really good.
But it was, when I saw them, it felt like I was going round a retrospective of the great artists when they were playing all their songs.
Yeah.
It felt like you were seeing them in their full, they were giving me a full picture of who they were. And it was the equivalent of walking around the Royal Academy of a Picasso exhibition or something.
Yeah.
It was just a very good account of them. And it was just everything you wanted, every song you wanted. Songs you didn't know, but they were great. New songs, dancing, lasers. It was a proper show.
I'm glad you like that. Some people are funny about them, but I love them. And
they had a band as well. It was live, and obviously not all live, but it was just fantastic. It's perfect. Perfect.
Well, I was meant to be seeing them this year, so I'm sort of upset about that.
As was I, yes, to the O2. And then also I was going to maybe even go to New York to see them with New Order.
New Order?
Madison Square Garden, yeah.
Have you seen New Order before? Live?
Yes. Only once, in sort of 1985 or 6 or something.
Ooh.
It was quite a violent concert. It was when concerts used to be violent. I don't know if you remember that. You're too young, probably. But gigs used to be violent, and it was quite a violent gig, and I was quite shocked. It was like a lot of football fans were at it. I couldn't work out why. A lot of soul boys, as I would call them, but it was not. The atmosphere wasn't great.
No, that's interesting. I think that's one of the. I think early New Order gigs that I've been to, which isn't early in that, like, probably 2002 or something. But even that, there's a sort of element of their fans that are quite.
It's very male, actually. That's the
male
and concerts. It's a lot of men. The New Order gig, it was a sort of young men, and even the band commented upon it, about meatheads, London meatheads, they said. And Tony Wilson came on before and spoke, gave them an introduction to them and stuff, which was quite funny. But yeah, the atmosphere wasn't great, I have to say.
Right.
But very heterosexual.
Yeah.
So you're going to ask me about great things this year?
Yeah, well, we've covered it, haven't we? But no,
really?
I don't know. What are you planning for next year? I suppose that's probably the best way of dealing with this year.
Next year, public art projects, maybe. Some public art projects. And
street art?
I was going to be making a film next year in a sort of geographical area of the UK. I'm not going to say where now, but it was cancelled this time last week, and I think it's because a lot of museums are so scared and wary now about money that they're cancelling commissions and spending it on other things because they can't justify it. So that's stopped, but that's okay because I've got other stuff. But if I was at a different point in my career, I'd be quite upset about it, but I'm not. I'm okay.
Yeah.
There's always enough going on.
Yeah. Do you always need stuff going on, or do you can you relax sometimes with?
I can't relax. You can't. Relaxing's bad, isn't it? Because then you're just left with your thoughts. So it's always good to be distracted by work, I think. So yeah. I need to work. It's really important in a way for me. So,
do you think about travel differently?
Travel? Well, I haven't travelled, so yes, I've been away. I've been away once this year. I went to Germany for 3 days in September when it was kind of okay, and I haven't been anywhere, so probably I do a bit. I should. I can't imagine travelling that much in the next year.
No. I've sort of thought I'm not going to go anywhere. Well, it's hard, isn't it, to make these sort of think about. I was thinking about whether I'd ever get to go to America again. Because I was used to going to New York, a place like that. Yeah. And just doesn't seem right somehow now to sort of think about that sort of long distance travel.
I think you need a reason to go. I think the days of just like going places just for the hell of it have gone for the moment, and I think that's fair enough. Yeah. For a number of reasons. I'm going to show you some pictures I've got.
Yeah.
This is a very special photograph to me. But...
All right, I know who. I know one of those people is.
Well, hopefully you know Willie Nelson. The other person's Barry.
Oh, is that Willie Nelson?
Yes. Yeah. Such a great picture, isn't it?
That's amazing. Where did you get that?
I don't know. I can't remember. But I had it next to me on my wall. You know, so.
Barack Obama must have so many pictures like that.
With him, yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and find some other stuff for you that I'm reading at the moment. Actually, my books I'm reading are elsewhere. But this is a book I saw a review of. Actually, I don't know whether I want to show you that book. I don't think you'll like it. It'll freak you out. But I'm trying to. I'm going to. I've got the Warhol biography. I haven't read that yet.
Oh yeah.
But this is a really great book.
Secondhand Time. It's backwards, so.
It's called Secondhand Time, and it's basically accounts by sort of Russians of the end of the Cold War, end of the Soviet Union. Just when I say Russians, I just mean people, not people in power, who just had to sort of deal with it. It's very interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it from interviews?
Just interviews. She did another book called Boys in Zinc, which is basically the zinc coffins that came back from Afghanistan, and she just spoke to the mothers about what it felt like for their sons to come back dead. Often the coffins were sealed, so you couldn't even open them up. So it might not have been your son. Could have been anything in there, basically.
Yeah.
Thousands were killed. I'm going to go and get a book and show you the book that I've read this year, which I think is just kind of a most amazing, well, not the most amazing, but a really incredible book. Bear with me.
Thanks. Yeah. It's really good.
Am I back to front?
Yeah, it's back to front. It's okay. Charlie Chaplin's autobiography.
Charlie Chaplin, my autobiography, which is the first 100 pages are incredible. It's about his life between the ages of 0 and 10, basically, living in South London, and what he had to get up to, and his relationship with his mother, who had.
When was that written?
When was it? It was written quite late in his life. I'll say in his 70s. Yeah. But it's very interesting. Obviously, he doesn't talk a lot about any of the sort of really controversial things that happened to him in Hollywood with women. He kind of refers to certain things. But the first 150 pages about his early career before he becomes famous is it's amazing. It's Dickensian upbringing, workhouse, reform, schools in the countryside for paupers, and mother in asylums, things like that. Alcoholic father. Really.
How did he become a performer then? What was the thing?
Well, he had to, in a way, to make money on the streets, and then he got into music hall because he was very dexterous. I think he was an acrobat, and he would sing just basically to survive. And his parents were both in music hall, but they weren't particularly successful, I don't think. I think his mother was a great beauty, but had mental health issues. I think she might have even been a prostitute at one point. So they really lived on the breadline. But I think he did it basically to make money and to support his family. And I think that's what happened when he was like 12 or 13. He was supporting his family.
Cool.
So it's through necessity rather than anything else. Didn't really have a formal education. And then he joined a group, and they went to America, and then from there, obviously, lots happened. But it was a very super harsh upbringing, basically.
Yeah.
But very interesting.
Oh, I'll get that. Put that on my Christmas
list. Okay, I'm going to show you something else. That's Iggy.
Iggy
Pop. Yeah.
I was thinking of Iggy Pop the other day. I can't remember what it was.
In what context?
I think it was one of my. What was it?
Honestly, it
was my own body and mirror. No, it was one of the. One of our animals was doing something, and I was like, "That's Iggy Pop."
Well, it's that's interesting. When I saw him, that is really interesting, because the first time I saw him play live, I just thought, this guy is like a satyr. He's like a kind of mythical wood sprite creature. The way he danced and moved around, and the satyr in Roman mythology, and maybe probably Greek mythology, was this half man, half goat, but would roam around the woods drinking and singing and kind of grabbing women and stuff like that. And that's what he seemed like. He seemed like a mythological creature when he was on stage. He would have been in his 60s when I saw him. The way he moved, he did all these funny movements and stuff, and it was like seeing someone who was half animal on stage.
Yeah. And then you did the life drawing class with him.
I did a life drawing class with him, and he was naked for 4 hours on a plinth, sitting and doing poses for a group of people to do as a life class. And he was everything you wanted to be. And it's the whole thing about meeting your heroes. He was absolutely amazing as a person, very wise, very calm. He's been everywhere and done everything. There's nothing you can tell him that he doesn't know about or has had an experience of, in a way. And that's brought him a sort of inner calm, despite all the turmoil in his life and what he's been up to and so on. He's reached a point of absolute sort of wisdom from it. So he was a very interesting person to work with or be around. And, I asked him when he must have been about 60. The first time I asked him if he'd want to do the life class, he was about 60, and he said no. And then I asked him 10 years later when he was around 70, and he said yes. And I said, why didn't you do it when you were 60? And he said, I was too young. I was too young to do the life class. Yeah. I had to wait till I was older and I could do that. Wow. Which is a bit exact opposite of what you'd expect as an answer.
Yeah, definitely.
So it was quite, that was quite shocking or surprising to hear. But he gave it everything when he was there. He did exactly what I asked him to. But also he had an incredible idea of time, because we had these 20-minute blocks of drawing. And almost within the second, he'd know when the 20 minutes was up, because he'd be replaying songs in his head, and he knew how long the songs were of his.
Right.
And he knew, it's like a side of an album, isn't it? 20 minutes. So that album's finished. So, right, that's 20 minutes.
And when he relaxed, his skin is so incredible.
Well, that's the thing. That's the whole point about doing a life class, is that he's not moving and he's not taut. You can't keep a pose taut for 20 minutes. Right. So it was actually him as his body as it really is.
Right.
And so we're not used to that, seeing him like that. But
I was going to say, taut is the word, isn't it? Imagine it.
So he understood that, and I think he obviously there's a lot of vanity. We're all vain, and he was concerned about how he looked, but I think he was ready to be examined by pencil, as it were, by drawing. Yeah. And also people with different levels of skills of drawing as well. because he, you know, I chose people that have been drawing for 50 years or 30 years or whatever, who could draw in a kind of photographic style, and then others who'd only just started drawing. So their style was much rougher, but actually was really great, much more expressive.
Yeah.
And some of the best drawings were done by people.
Did he have any of the drawings? Did you give him any?
No, all the drawings were immediately given, donated to the museum in Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Museum.
Right.
That was the deal. For me, that was really important, and he liked that as well, because what he didn't want was for drawings to turn up on sale, art fairs or whatever,
Sure,
or, you know, or someone to keep a drawing and try and flog it later. So we were very important. It was very important that all the drawings were kept together, you know, the body of work. That's how it was, basically. So, but he got it. He got conceptually and totally understood it, and so on. Yeah. And so he was very easy to work with. Very easy.
Oh,
We had
that,
someone who's
that must have been incredible for you, though, to just finally get that, realise that project.
It was quite nerve-wracking as well, because you just couldn't believe it was happening when it was there. I just could not believe it was happening. And as soon as it started, I wanted it to end. I wanted it, the 4 hours to go in like that, so I could just say, all right, I've done it. So I just sat in the corner when it was happening, just biting my fingernails, because I just thought, God, please just let it go through, okay? Don't ever get annoyed with someone or something to go wrong or whatever. But it didn't. It was all fine. But I was quite, you know, I just couldn't believe it was actually happening.
Can I, before... Sorry, carry on.
No. What's the question?
I was just going to say that we should talk about the Stonehenge film that I showed the chickens.
Oh, right. Are we going to see it again, or are you going to show it again?
I've posted it up already.
Oh, okay.
I showed it to them earlier, and I recorded it.
It's quite harsh soundtrack, isn't it? I mean, the soundtrack is quite specific, and you said the chickens were a bit scared of it as a soundtrack, because
the first time they were, but second time it was okay. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's, you know, there's a film made to accompany an exhibition that was sort of based around Stonehenge and was sort of selling T-shirts and whatnot. But it was a very, the centre part of the film is a woman speaking and subtitled. You don't know what she's saying, and I've just given her subtitles which are not correct at all. And she's saying how she went back in time and helped build Stonehenge. And she's just chatting. She's actually saying something totally different. You don't know that. It's got music over it. And so it was filmed at Stonehenge, but also at Avebury nearby. So it was just a mood piece, really, to accompany an exhibition, to sort of get you in the sort of strange state of mind before you saw the work. Hopefully, with the sound. It's quite unusual sounds.
Yeah, the whole thing's really unusual. Yeah, and it is this very imaginative, but it like.
Well, thank you.
It conjures up these feelings, doesn't it? It's so imaginative.
Oh, thank you. Oh, good.
But it's a bit like the signs. It sort of transports you quite quickly. That's what I mean. It's very short, and yet you you tumble through time, and you tumble through environments, and you're in the modern world, and you're in the ancient world. It's like, and the car park and the train, and that technique of filming against the green screen with the stones going. There's just all those little things that are quite instantaneously transformative, aren't they?
Well, also the images are the sound, actually. Sorry, the sound is sampled of a bird song. A lot of it.
Yeah.
So you hear stuff and it's bird song, but it's treated a little bit, so it's quite strange sounding. But yes, it was meant to definitely give you a different state of mind. I might go to Stonehenge over Christmas, I think.
Right. Well, the sound as well reminded me of the Bounty Castle Stonehenge, and when we did the film of that, and your assistant at the time did some music, I think, for the video that we made. Is that right?
I don't remember that. It's possible.
And it was quite, and it was a similar sort of quite harsh, almost like heavy metal sounding guitar.
Yes,
drum,
maybe.
You know.
Well, I mean, that's that. Yes, the sound of really that thing is called Sacrilege. The Inflatable Stonehenge is it's interesting because wherever you do it in the world, people just respond in the same way to it. Anywhere from China or Hong Kong or wherever it's done, Australia, people just go crazy on it, which is really nice. So, I mean, I've really enjoyed seeing that go around the world, and it ended up in Stonehenge. It was shown at Stonehenge. It was Stonehenge. Not at the same place as Stonehenge, but at the visitor centre they had it.
Right.
I think a lot of people turning up thought they were at Stonehenge when they turn up on a coach and they see it. They saw this Stonehenge on the horizon, but it was moving slightly because it was inflatable. And I think some people initially did think that was it, even though it's like a mile away down the road. But I might go there this Christmas. I might drive to the village near to Stonehenge where you can walk from the village through fields to get to it. You can't get that close, but you can get within sight of it. There's another way to get there. Of course, this tunnel now has just put the whole archaeological world has been divided. You think the tunnel's a good thing or a bad thing. So it's actually become really complicated again, Stonehenge. I mean, it always was complicated.
The tunnel, is it going to go under the stones, or is it?
It won't go under them. It will go near. It's obviously going to go near it. I don't know. I should really do my research because people are asking me to sort of make comments about it and stuff, and I don't really know quite enough. It won't go underneath it. It will go close to it, obviously, I'm sure. But it's a classic fudge, really. I think it's not long enough as a tunnel because they don't have enough money, and so it's probably on the edge of being in a potentially quite serious. It could do serious damage to archaeological sites because it's not long enough.
Right. So it doesn't bypass enough of the important area.
Exactly. There was a mass trespass there last week. Where hundreds of people just walked into the stone circle, which is not allowed. And next week it's solstice, so maybe there'll be another big mass trespass, or there'll be more people making comments about it and so on. So it's interesting that Stonehenge has always been a site of conflict or of interest, at least, at the very least, for people. So it will continue forever, I think, because everyone sees it as a symbol of Britain, whatever that is. So it's complicated.
Yeah. Oh well, that sounds like a good plan for the holidays.
Well, I'll show you something else. Do you want to go a bit dark? No, but actually we shouldn't. We should go a bit light, haven't we? I was going to go dark. I'm going to show you an image on my wall.
Go on then.
If that's all right. One of my favourite images. It's Divine, if you didn't know who that was.
Okay. Sorry, my screen went blank. Show me again. Show me again. Yeah.
That's Divine. And this is a photograph I used in my documentary about rave. It's of Kraftwerk playing in New York and Ralph Hutter giving over his computer during the pocket calculator to the audience to play.
Oh, wow.
It's an amazing image of them handing it over for people to play along to. That's a very
When was
famous
that, like
concert
70,
81, when all the b-boys and people into electro turned up at the Kraftwerk gig. It's like one of the most, one of these sort of mythical moments in popular music when the audience was full of people who are into, electro and early hip hop and rap, and they turned up to the Kraftwerk gig and probably dancing to body popping to Kraftwerk and so on. So, it's like that's probably the gig you'd want to go to if you could go back in time. It'd be that, I imagine.
Yeah, no football hooligans there.
No, good points. None at all. I know we have to finish up at some point. Should I just tell you one exciting thing I've done this year?
Yeah, please.
Next week, I'm on University Challenge. On the telly. Yes, see?
That's caused quite a reaction.
Yes, so I'm on, they do one for
Christmas
alumni.
special?
They do a whole week or 2 weeks of universities with the people who'd been to universities who are sort of vaguely in the public eye or academics or whatever. Yeah. And I was on the Courtauld Institute team. Courtauld. Yeah.
And so you can't tell us how you got on then, presumably?
I'm not allowed to, but you should watch it next on the 23rd we're on the 23rd against Goldsmiths. Can you believe that?
No way. Oh, I'm Goldsmiths.
Yeah. You went to Goldsmiths?
Yeah.
Well, you will have divided loyalties, I hope.
I will. Yeah.
for me and them. But you should watch it. You should definitely watch it in that case, because
Who else is on your team?
Tim Marlowe from the Design Museum,
Oh, right.
the writer and poet Lavinia Greenlaw, and Jackie Klein, who's a book editor.
Yep.
And it's quite weird doing it. So you have to do it in Manchester, and the whole thing. Once they start, they don't stop and start the quiz. They just start, and you're going through, and it goes so quickly. And at one point, I had this sort of out of body experience where I just sort of I almost felt like I left the room, and I just started daydreaming and just sort of like zoned out. I don't know if it will see it on camera, but I just wasn't there at all. It was quite.
And have you met Jeremy Paxman before? Has he done? I was on
Newsnight once. It was terrifying, and but he didn't remember. He had no idea.
No.
And you can't get close to anyone because it's all COVID-y. So it's all, you've got barriers between you and your other teammates. These perspex screens between you, and you have to wear an earpiece because you can't really hear what they're saying when you have to sort of consult. So that's quite odd. But I just did it because I was bored. I agreed to do it because I thought it's just something to talk about, basically, and because there's nothing else to talk about, it seems. So that's what I
what day is that on? Tuesday.
The 23rd, whatever day that is.
Wednesday.
Wednesday next week. Yeah.
All right.
So
yeah, definitely tune into that.
I'm going to do a post about it with a photograph because it is quite funny.
Yeah, you should. Is there anything you want to see here before we go?
What were those little ponies? Tell me about your little ponies.
I can take you to the ponies if you want.
Can you take me to the ponies, please?
Yeah.
How many do you have?
2.
And what are their names? And what
their names? One's called Patty and one's called Nutty.
Right.
Nutty is we didn't name them. It's called Nutty, short for Nuthatch, because
they name each other then? Nuthatch.
Nuthatch, because there was a nuthatch could be heard when he was born, which is nice, isn't it?
What's a nuthatch?
Nice story.
Is that some country phrase for something? Oh,
no,
it's a bird.
Yeah. Right, let's go.
Wow, look at this.
They'll be in the field. I'm not doing a good job of burping.
I like your jacket. It's like an autumn watch special, isn't it? You're like Chris Packham in there.
Thanks. Right. Am I still staying? This is like being Annika Rice.
It is a bit.
Could be like, come on, fly me.
Come on, get in the helicopter.
I've gone the wrong way. I won't go in a helicopter, Jeremy. You know me.
Yeah, just keep it simple for Neil Tennant. You put him off if you're in your helicopter.
Right.
Well, you've got a big garden.
So we've got a field. I'll turn around the camera and then you can see the goats. You'll see the goats first.
Right.
That's Saxon.
That's a good name for a goat. Right, mate.
That's Amber.
Oh.
And then I don't know where the other goat's gone.
You left the gate open.
Yeah, that's the other goat.
Is that the
Bell?
Oh, look, they're coming to you.
Yeah.
The black one. Is he black or she?
Yeah, that's Nutty.
Oh. What is it? Is it a Shetland?
This is a miniature British spotted horse. And this is Patty. Patty is a miniature Shetland. So they're tiny.
Are they like proper what horses were like 50,000 years ago? Is that what they are?
I don't know. They're really
like a dog.
Yeah, but it will get bigger. It's a foal, but they're not big. But they're very, very sweet.
They are, aren't they?
Hey.
Oh, look.
So yeah, that's nice. But yeah, this is like No, we are amazingly lucky.
You are. It's almost sickening. I feel like I should just say goodbye to you at this point. But have we done everything, Jared?
Yeah, I think we have. Thanks so much for sending the film and showing it to them.
It's a pleasure.
Really
I know they didn't
appreciate
like it, so that's good. But
you can't tell with them really what they like and what they don't.
Well,
but that's the same with people as well sometimes.
especially with art. With art, yes.
Yeah, exactly. But no, really grateful, and I hope. Welcome to Tier 3 as well, I should say, and I hope it's all right. And
What can you do? But lovely to speak to you.
You
I've
too,
got to
Jeremy.
speak to Belgium in a minute. Do a talk
Okay.
about Beethoven to Belgium.
Oh, really?
Which I know nothing about Beethoven, so it's going to be quite interesting.
My dad's a classical pianist. Did you know that?
Now you tell me.
Yeah.
Could have included him.
Yeah, he knows about Beethoven. All right, I'll let you go.
All right.
And yeah, take care.
Lovely to speak to you.
You too. Bye, Jeremy.
Glad it worked.
Yeah.
See you later. Leave Neil Tennant alone. Just leave him alone. I'll write to him about you.
He won't remember.
He will. I bet he does. Probably nearly ran him over. I'll write and apologise. I'll explain it all.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Yeah, you apologise to me and say that I am actually okay.
He's all right, but
tell him he can come over.
Yeah, that's
come over and meet the ponies if
like
he wants.
Alan Partridge episode. I don't care. I bet you got a room full of pictures of him and stuff.
The money I've spent on them, you should be grateful.
Yeah, but that's the resentment coming up, and that's when it's scary and stalkery.
He owes me, Jeremy.
I spent thousands. Look, I've made a list.
Come and see my collection.
Just be careful.
Oh God.
All right.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
All right. Thanks everyone, and thanks Jeremy. And there's actually a few more artists of sending in films, and so if you're interested in the Exhibition for Chickens film festival, do stay on. Oh, now I've got the thing where I'm alone in a field talking, so I'm just going to stop. But thanks ever so much for watching, and see you all soon. Bye.